Good morning, and welcome to the Office of the Secretary of Higher Education's first Technical Assistance Workshop for the Fall 2021 round of the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act Career and Technical Education Solicitation. My name is Angela Bethia, and I am the Assistant Secretary and Chief Financial Officer for the Office of the Secretary of Higher Education, which we affectionately call OSHE. This session is being recorded and will be made available following today's session via OSHE's Securing Our Children's Future website. Prior to preparing your application, we would urge all applicants to read the regulations and application guidelines developed in line with the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act, which can also be found on the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act page of OSHE's website. We will not be taking questions during this presentation, but will explain the process for asking questions about the grant application. Today's session will go over basic information about the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act program and completing the application. As we move through the session, we will discuss each area of the application guidelines in some detail to provide you with the information necessary to complete and submit the grant application successfully. Today's agenda will include introductions to your presenters and an overview of the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act grant program, followed by a review of the grant requirements, eligibility criteria, priority criteria, important dates, application procedures, and applications components, as well as an overview of the evaluation and award process. Presenting with me today will be Maisha Wright Howard, Director of Finance for the Office of the Secretary of Higher Education, and Jamie O'Donnell, Grant Program Manager from the New Jersey Educational Facilities Authority. We hope this technical assistance session will be helpful and will be informative as you begin developing your grant application. At this time, I would like to invite Dr. Brian Bridges, Secretary of Higher Education, to deliver remarks.
Angela, for kicking off today's session. We are happy to host this technical assistance webinar to assist you in completing your application for round 2 of the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act. Making these additional funds available is critical to help your institutions secure the necessary resources you need in order to provide the important career and technical education necessary to help our students succeed in New Jersey's innovation economy. We look forward to collaborating with you to ensure that these critical public investments pave the way for student success in New Jersey's pandemic recovery. I want to now hand it back over to Maisha Howard to provide an overview of the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act program.
On November 6, 2018, voters approved a general obligation bond issuance of $50 million for county college CTE grants in association with the Bond Act, which Governor Murphy signed on August 27, 2018. One purpose of the Bond Act is to provide with New Jersey county colleges with financial resources to increase capacity to offer CTE programs. Accordingly, funds from the Bond Act will be used to provide county colleges with matching grants to construct and/or expand classrooms, laboratories, libraries, computer facilities, and other academic structures to increase CTE program capacity, which will provide direct benefits to students. Through the implementation of this provision of the Bond Act, the proposed guidelines will advance important state goals, including the promotion of industry clusters, increased growth in employment opportunities, and expanded access to high-quality educational opportunities for all New Jersey residents. On October 9, 2020, OSHE announced the Fall 2020 cycle of applications for the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act. Applications were due March 1, 2021. A total of 14 applications were received, of which 9 were recommended for funding to the legislature. The funding for these projects totaled $25,956,996. On July 1, 2021, Governor Phil Murphy signed A 5888 into law, providing for the approval of these grants for projects. Institutions who received awards during the fall 2020 cycle of applications are not eligible for funding in the fall 2021 cycle. The notice of grant opportunity for the fall 2021 cycle of funding for the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act County College Career and Technical Education Program expansion grants, along with the application and application guidelines, were made available on OSHE's website on Friday, September 10, 2021. The fall 2021 cycle allocates $23,542,004 in grants. Grant funds requested are limited to $4 million per application. The grants will be used to fund construction projects for facilities that support county college CTE program enhancements by constructing or expanding classrooms, laboratories, libraries, computer facilities, and other academic structures to increase CTE program capacity, which will provide direct benefits to students. We have a few entities collaborating on the implementation of the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act, including OSHE, acting as the lead agency on the County College Career and Technical Education portion of the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act. The New Jersey Department of Education, which is the lead agency on the other funding provided by the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act. The New Jersey Educational Facilities Authority, the New Jersey Office of the Attorney General, bond counsel supplied by Eckerd, Siemens, Sharon, and Mallow, LLC, the Governor's Office, and the New Jersey Department of Treasury. OSHE's role is to oversee the administration of the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act program, which includes establishing rules and regulations for the program, developing application criteria, procedures, and a review process, establishing an evaluation committee, confirming the recommendations of the review committee, submitting a list of projects and an appropriations bill to the legislature, notifying awardees, entering into contracts with the awardees, and monitoring their progress, and reviewing and approving requisitions to authorizing release of grant funds. OSHE entered into an MOU with NJEFA to receive assistance administering the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act grant programs. At this time, I'll pass this over to Jamie O'Donnell from NJEFA to discuss bond counsel's role in the program.
Thank you, Maisha. Pursuant to a memorandum of understanding between NJEFA and OSHE, NJEFA's role is to assist OSHE in the administration of the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act, including, but not limited to, assisting in the development of grant agreements, requisition forms, due diligence process, and tax questionnaires, assisting in the processing of requisitions for grant funds, and assisting OSHE in managing the annual compliance reporting process. Bond counsel will be provided by Eckerd, Siemens, Sharon, and Mallow, LLC. Bond counsel's role is to provide legal services to the state of New Jersey and OSHE in connection with the implementation of the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act grant program. The bonds to finance the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act grants are general obligation bonds of the state of New Jersey. The bonds are tax exempt, therefore the uses for which proceeds may be used are limited so as to maintain the tax-exempt status of the bonds. Bond counsel will review the use of proceeds to ensure the proper use of funds for each project. Now we will talk about the grant requirements. Eligible facilities include education buildings, which are defined as buildings, structures, and facilities required for the operation of county colleges. Eligible work for the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act County College Career and Technical Education Expansion Program includes renovation of existing square footage to increase program enrollment, new construction of a building addition or standalone building to increase program enrollment, physical plant upgrades needed to support the conversion of existing space to support CTE programs, or a building addition that increases CTE program enrollment. The purchase and installation of furniture and equipment, including technology, in new or renovated spaces. Site improvements related to CTE program expansion, and demolition of non-instructional buildings or portions of buildings to accommodate new construction that increases the number of student seats in CTE programs. The list of eligible work displayed is not inclusive. A project may contain portions of the various project types displayed. Carefully review the guidelines when submitting your project. Work considered ineligible for funding via the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act includes building system upgrades unrelated to CTE program expansion, building additions in which the total proposed net square footage of CTE classrooms including adjacent support spaces serving the classroom is less than 75% of the total net square footage of the proposed construction. Demolition that results in a net loss of instructional space for CTE programs. Improvements to leased buildings are ineligible except when the lessor is a public entity, such as a school district or the state of New Jersey. The term of the lease agreement is for a minimum of 20 years with an end date no earlier than June 30th, 2044. And the county college is authorized to make the capital improvements represented in the grant agreement. Site improvements not directly related to CTE program expansion. All work must be related to increased CTE capacity. This list provides examples of ineligible work.
The maximum grant amount that may be awarded to an applicant is $4 million. Your application should not request more than $4 million. The eligibility and priority criteria outlined in the guidelines will be utilized when evaluating the applications. Regional distribution and equity will also be considered.
Matching funds are funds allocated by the county college for a specific project for which grant funds are used. For this program, matching funds are equal to 25% of the total cost of the project. Acceptable forms of matching funds include funds generated from institutional resources, other grants, institutional borrowings, or other sources as permitted in the grant approval process. Funds from state government sources may not be used to satisfy this matching requirement. CTE grant funds must support no more than 75% of the cost of the project. Institutions must provide at least 25% of the cost of the project. For example, if the total project cost is $1 million, the grant award should be listed as $750,000, and the institution must provide matching funds of $250,000. Now we will review eligibility criteria. Applicants must meet all eligibility criteria to be considered for a grant award. The eligibility criteria include that the applicant can demonstrate that the applicant is a county college as defined in Chapter 64A of Title 18A of the New Jersey statutes. A net increase in the number of students in CTE programs and academic opportunity by offering new career and technical programs or expanding existing programs. A focus on new student seats for CTE programs that prepare students for high demand, technically skilled careers. And the county college application shall demonstrate that it addresses the objectives of this grant program as outlined in NJAC 9A:19-1.6B. In addition to eligibility criteria, there are priority criteria. Maisha will now discuss the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act's priority criteria.
Thank you, Jamie. These priority criteria include The county college's stackable credential programs. The county college's partnerships with county vocational school districts for the provision of career and technical education programs. The county college's partnerships with employers with the intent to provide technical education and training for current or potential employees. Applicants should explain how their project addresses these 3 priority criteria in the narrative.
Now, Maisha will review the important dates associated with the fall 2021 application cycle.
The dates that have been established in this chart are hard deadlines. You are currently listening to the Technical Assistance Workshop held Friday, September 24th, 2021. The question period for applicants will begin on October 11th, 2021 and end on November 8th, 2021 at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. OSHE responses to these questions will be provided online on the Securing Our Children's Future page, the OSHE's website, on December 8th, 2021. The second Technical Assistance Workshop will be held in January 2022, a specific date to be determined. The application submission deadline is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday, February 14th, 2022. Applications after this date and time will not be accepted. Questions related to the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act will not be accepted via phone or fax under any circumstances. All questions must be submitted in writing to financedocs@oshe.nj.gov between October 11th, 2021 and November 8th, 2021. All answers and addenda, if any, will be posted to OSHE's Securing Our Children's Future webpage no later than December 8th, 2021. Check the Securing Our Children's Future page regularly for updates. All applicants are responsible for reviewing and complying with all question and answer documentation and addenda posted on OSHE's website. The following slides will review the general procedures for submitting an application. County colleges may submit one grant application that includes all eligible educational buildings. Multiple applications will not be considered. Applicants may only submit one grant application per college. If an applicant wants to submit a proposal for more than one project, one application should be submitted with separate budgets for each project or project phase. If necessary, a portion of the project may be approved. So for example, if you have 3 different stackable credential programs that would benefit from Securing Our Children's Future funding, the institution should submit one application that outlines all 3 projects as different phases of one larger project. Each of these phases should have a budget that would reflect the smaller project so that if necessary, OSHE can choose to fund only certain phases of a larger project. The deadline for submitting a grant application is Monday, February 14th, 2022 at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have stated throughout this session, this is an absolute deadline. All applications must be submitted online using OSHE's Qualtrics application. Applications must be received on time and must have all the required information. OSHE administers discretionary grant programs in strict conformance with procedures designed to ensure accountability and integrity in the use of public funds. Therefore, late applications will not be accepted. Applicants are required to answer all online questions and upload all required documentation. Each applicant and project will be reviewed for eligibility and completeness. Complete includes, but is not limited to, 1, the applicant and project has been determined eligible. 2, the application was submitted in the manner set forth in the guidelines. And 3, the application has all of the required information. This is a competitive solicitation process. This means the projects will be scored and ranked by a review committee only if they are deemed on time, eligible, and complete. All submissions will be reviewed following the application deadline. No advantage will be given for applications received earlier in the application window than others. However, do not wait until right before the deadline to submit, as there could be a slower processing time due to volume. Jamie and I will now review the components of the application, each of which can be reviewed in full details within the application guidelines. First and foremost, applicants must meet the eligibility criteria to be considered for a grant award. Each applicant must certify that the institution is a New Jersey County College as defined by Chapter 64A of Title 18A of the New Jersey statutes. That the county college can demonstrate that the proposed project will produce a net increase in the number of students in CTE programs and academic opportunity by offering new career and technical programs or expanding existing programs. The county college can demonstrate that the proposed project has a focus on new student seats for CTE programs that prepare students for high demand, technically skilled careers. The county college application shall demonstrate that it addresses the objectives of this grant program as outlined in NJAC 9A 19-1.6B. Applicants will be asked to certify that all 4 statements are true in order to be deemed eligible. Applicants for CTE grants must demonstrate that the proposed project will meet all of the following criteria. 1, a net increase in the number of students in CTE programs and academic opportunity by offering new career and technical programs or adding new courses within existing programs. 2, a focus on new student seats for CTE programs that prepare students for high demand, technically skilled careers in accordance with A, labor market demands, or B, economic development goals in the following key industry clusters: construction and energy, finance, healthcare, leisure and hospitality, life sciences, manufacturing, retail trade, technology, transportation, distribution, and logistics, and all proposed work must directly support the expansion of CTE program capacity and shall consist of one or more of the following scopes of work. A, renovation of existing square footage to increase program enrollment. B, new construction of a building addition or a standalone building to increase program enrollment. C, physical plant upgrades needed to support the conversion of existing space to support CTE programs or a building addition that increases CTE program enrollment. The purchase and installation of furniture and equipment, including technology, in new or renovated spaces, site improvements related to CTE program expansion, and/or demolition of non-instructional buildings or portions of buildings to accommodate new construction that increases the number of seats in CTE programs. The county college application shall demonstrate that it addresses the following objectives of this grant program. 1, equitable access, which means how the county college will identify, recruit, enroll economically disadvantaged and underserved populations. 2, collaboration, which means the extent to which the county college will establish partnerships with one or more county vocational school district or employers to expand the program's impact by offering activities or courses that build career awareness or skills for students, or that develop the professional capacity of educators to teach CTE courses. 3, industry valued credentials, which means programs that lead to a New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce Development valued credential in a high demand sector, and how the programs support diverse learners to earn one or more industry valued credential. 4, college credits, which means the extent to which students may earn county college credit up to and including an associate's degree that are in a key industry cluster as set forth above. 5, apprenticeship, which means the extent to which the applicant identifies an industry partner that is currently operating an approved registered apprenticeship program and is willing to work with the applicant to offer the program to students. And 6, innovation, which means the extent to which the proposed project will deliver the programs that leverage innovative technologies, schedules, teaching methodologies, and partnerships to provide authentic learning experiences in high-demand industries that are accessible to and engaging for 21st century learners.
Each application must be accompanied by an approved resolution from the institution's governing board, demonstrating support and financial commitment to the project if approved. If applicable, a copy of the lease or memorandum of understanding with a lessor must also be provided. Each applicant is required to provide a brief overall description of the project in 200 words or less. This executive summary should state in a concise manner the purpose of the project, as well as provide the location of the proposed project site, total cost, and indicate the type of project proposed. What is being bought, built, expanded, or enhanced? The institution should prepare and present a clear set of goals and a mission for the proposed project, demonstrating the need and expected outcomes. This will be used as an identifier for the institution's project. It does not need to explain the benefits the project will provide. Section 3.5, Scope and Sequence of Proposed Project, is your opportunity to pitch your project. This is where you will go into detail on how your project meets the objectives and satisfies the requirements of the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act, especially the priority criteria as outlined in the regulations.
The scope and sequence of the project should be made up of two parts: the project description and the selection criteria narrative. For the project description, each application should outline in full detail each specific component of the proposed project, summarizing mission, goals, scope, sequence, need, impact, and cost. The applicant should provide an overview of the current status of the locations or facilities that the proposed project would affect, detailing its current uses, capacity, and justification of why this location or facility is eligible for consideration for funding under the Bond Act. This overview should be a descriptive narrative that provides the location of the proposed project site, total cost, and categorization of the nature of the project as new construction, expansion, or renovation of current facilities, new or updated equipment, etc. The details of the work involved to complete the projects, including but not limited to construction or demolition, purchase of property, procurement of equipment, the amount of time that the institution anticipates it will need to complete the project from start to finish, an anticipated timeline, and a phased implementation supported by contractor quotes and estimates, a plan for service interruption during project implementation to ensure the ability of current vocational programs to continue to operate without reducing capacity. An explanation of whether or not the project is being completed in collaboration with partnering vocational school districts or employers, and whether these partnerships allow for increased scope and impact of the proposed project. The selection criteria narrative portion of the scope and sequence should address the eligibility criteria and priority criteria outlined in section 1.4 and 1.5 of the application guidelines. The applicant should describe the stackable credential programs that will be improved or created because of the implementation of the project. This should include all programs offered by the institution which are applicable, the depth of the program, content exposure to on-the-job training, and the number of students currently enrolled in these programs in relationship to the overall student population. The applicant should provide justification as to how the proposed project addresses needs of the vocational programs that are directly impacted by it, including increases in capacity, the direct benefit to students, and the forecasted economic impact of the expanded capacity of the program. In addition, the application should highlight the benefits of the proposed project to the campus, specifically in relationship to the following questions in a descriptive narrative format. 1. How will the capacity of the county college to offer stackable credential programs be increased? 2. How will the proposed project support the preparation of students for high-demand, technically skilled careers? 3. How does the proposal align with the labor market demands or economic development goals as set forth in NJAC 9A 19-1.6A 3 Roman numeral 2? And 4, how does the county college demonstrate that it has an existing partnership or will be entering into a partnership with a county vocational school district and/or an employer or industry partner to provide technical education and training for current or potential employees? If the institution is submitting an application in collaboration with the partnering vocational school district or employers, these partners must be explicitly identified. These collaborations are encouraged, especially if it allows for increased scope and impact of the proposed project.
The architectural plans in quotes section of the application will require institutions to upload any planning documents related to construction or procurement of equipment, including but not limited to blueprints, ecological evaluations, equipment quotes, etc., as to demonstrate that the project is construction ready. Construction ready is defined as the extent to which the planning and design work have been completed and construction is able to begin, and the degree to which a project shall be completed expeditiously once begun. An evaluation of whether a project is construction ready shall include the status of the design work, project site readiness, zoning and permitting approvals, as well as the anticipated timeframe during which the project will be completed and the pacing of related construction. For the cost and cost effectiveness section of the application, you will be asked to complete the sources of funds template provided on the Securing Our Children's Future webpage of the OSHE website, and a narrative analysis. The institution will be asked to provide the specific costs related to the project and an analysis of the cost versus the impact of the proposed project, demonstrating the return on investment for the state, the county college, and students and employers impacted. Institutions must provide details on the useful life of any project. Sources of matching funds. As mentioned previously, there is a requirement for institutions to provide matching funds for the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act program grants. Matching funds must equal at least 25% of the total cost of such project, and the applicant must certify the availability and source of matching funds required to receive a CTE grant pursuant to the Bond Act. Matching funds can be generated from institutional resources, other grants, institutional borrowings, or other sources as permitted in the grant approval process. As mentioned previously, funds from state government sources may not be used to satisfy the matching requirements in NJAC 9A 19-1.3C.
Institutions will be required to provide a completed partnership form for all partners who will be working in collaboration on the project. Applicants must demonstrate that the institution has an existing partnership or will be entering into a partnership with a county vocational school district and/or an employer or industry partner to provide technical education and training for current or potential employees.
Institutions are asked to provide a digital copy of the county college's most recent long-range facilities plan. If the long-range facilities plan does not include a deferred maintenance plan, institutions are also asked to submit this separately. And finally, institutions are required to provide a narrative demonstrating the institution's commitment over the past 10 years to appropriate maintenance of facilities previously funded by State of New Jersey grant programs.
While we are now entering the application phase of the fall 2021 cycle, we would like to briefly review the review and award process for the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act grant program. The following section of slides will go over the application review and approval process and the determination of funding amounts. Due to the volume of applications, OSHE is unable to provide preliminary review for completeness prior to the close of the application period. Submission of an incomplete application will disqualify the institution for funding consideration. Make sure that you have submitted all documents applicable to your specific project type. Failure to submit all required documents will result in your application being rejected for this cycle. The checklist included in the guidelines is your guide as to what has to be submitted. OSHE reserves the right to reject any application not in conformance with the requirements of the grant program. Only those applications that adhere to the project eligibility guidelines described in Section 1 of the application guidelines and fulfill all submission requirements outlined in Section 3 may be awarded grants. The Secretary will establish a review committee comprised of representation that may include the Office of the Secretary of Higher Education, New Jersey Educational Facilities Authority, Department of Labor and Workforce Development, Department of Ed, and other state entities with technical expertise to evaluate the project grant applications and make further recommendations on funding. Applications will be scored by the review committee pursuant to the eligibility and priority criteria. The Secretary will examine the recommendations of the review committee and shall approve or disapprove a grant in accordance with NJAC 9A 19-1.6 and establish the amount of the grant in accordance with this subchapter.
If a proposed project is approved for funding by OSHE and an appropriation of sufficient funds for such project is made pursuant to the Bond Act, a grant agreement offer letter will be issued for the county college's acceptance. After the grant agreement is fully executed, project funding will commence. Please note that costs incurred prior to the date the projects are approved by the legislature cannot be reimbursed.
To give applicants an idea on timing, we put together this tentative timeline. Aside from the application due date, these dates are not final. We hope this presentation provided valuable information to assist you in preparing your grant application.
The Office of the Secretary of Higher Education is pleased to bring the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act County College Career and Technical Education Grant Program to you. The projects to be funded through the Bond Act will improve New Jersey's county college CTE offerings and their ability to respond to the needs of our communities by expanding the capacity and quality of programs. This is an exciting time in higher education, and we appreciate the governor and legislature for making this critical investment in higher education, career, and technical education programs that will spur innovation in New Jersey's economy. This now concludes the first technical assistance workshop for the fall 2021 cycle of the Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act. Thank you for your participation.